And here we are for another Kinstretch class. Glad to have you joining us. We're going to be working on the elusive quality of glenohumeral extension. That might not be a position or a spot that you've thought of training that much, but it actually can be really important and very limited, sometimes based on how you breathe, how your rib cage is set up. So it can be interesting to find this spot and really work on this spot as we will do today. Props-wise, you'll just want some floor space and feel comfortable kind of getting face down on the floor. Most of the face down positions, I'll have you rest your head on your hand, just like that. But if you wanted to grab a towel or a small pillow, that might be comfortable. And then also, you're going to want your trusty dowel, broom handle, what have you. That'll do it in terms of props. All right, so to get started, let's go ahead begin by just warming up the spine. Come into hands and knees quadruped position, and we'll work through a sort of a medium effort cat-cow motion to start. Begin with your tailbone curling under, and then feeling that rounded shape in your lower back make its way through your mid-back, rib cage, and back of your neck. And take a second there just to scan and feel, is there anywhere you could bow into a little bit more stretch? Could you round out, make more of a concave shape on the front of your body? Good. And then keeping that concave shape in your neck and upper back, begin moving your tailbone back up toward the sky and feeling your spine move segment by segment back into extension. Great. Again, keeping this at a medium intensity level as you make your way all the way into extension. Good. Now keep your chin lifted, keep your tailbone lifted, reach your belly and your ribs towards the floor, and really try to make the back of your body now concave. And holding this position, let's turn up the intensity just a little bit, feeling your hands super glued to the floor. Try to think of pushing the floor away from your knees, so out in front of you, although nothing will move. And then use that added intensity to start again, curling your tailbone under. Maybe going a little slower just to make sure you're still engaging the arms by pushing the floor away in front of you as you make your way up your back. You might notice there are some spots where those arms want to turn off or lose strength, and that's a good place to slow down for a moment. Once your chin comes to your chest, pause there, and instead of pushing the ground away in front of you, pull that floor towards your knees. Again, nothing will move, but it should change sensation quite a bit. And then keep that sensation going as your tailbone starts its way towards the ceiling. Your belly button begins to reach towards the floor. Your rib cage on the front starts to open and expand. Your collarbones start to try to reach towards the sky. And then finally, you're stretching the front of your neck. Excellent. All right. Go ahead and sit back just for a second. Let's give the wrist a quick moment. Pull your palms together. Link your fingers. Keeping your palms together, just start to give your wrist some of that wrist butter. I tried to think of a good name for this. I think I mentioned this in a class a couple months ago. The name I came up with was just way too complex to really be useful. So I'm going with wrist butter here because it should feel good. It should feel like it's getting things moving. And maybe it gives you a special chance to feel into some stretches and some length on the sides of your wrist, which is really the movement determinant for your wrist joint, is how much can those sides of your wrist capsule actually move. Nice. And just give those a few more reps back and forth, going by feel. All right. And then come back into quadruped for just one more little spine input here. Whenever we're talking shoulders, we're going to be also talking thoracic spine. So let's spend a little extra time there. And we'll do that by curling the tailbone under and setting the lower back into a fixed, rounded shape. So really spend some effort. Try to curl your tailbone under. Try to feel some length or stretch in your lower back. And then really engage your legs to help you hold on to this position. All right? Now your goal is to not let anything south of your rib cage move as I start cueing the upper back, okay? Let's start that by pulling the chin into the neck, rounding the back of your neck, rounding the top of your rib cage, the middle part of your rib cage, and then right to the bottom of your rib cage. And once you get there, you might feel like, oh my gosh, I opened up more rounding in my lower back because the upper back is now going in the same shape. That makes sense, okay? The opposite is also going to be true. It's going to be extra hard to keep that lower back rounded as we now move into extension. Chin reaching away from the neck, collarbones reaching forward. Remember, this is going to be much harder to not let your lower back move, because now you're sort of pitting your upper back muscles against your lower back and lower core. When you feel like you've gotten to the bottom of your rib cage, hold there, start again curling your chin into your neck, all the while keeping your tailbone parked in that flexed shape. Good. Rounding over, letting the back of the ribs really open. Okay, and then final rep. Hold on to that rounded tailbone shape. Hold on to the ab contraction you feel and start your chin motion away from your neck to send your upper back into extension, to really turn on those muscles. Working your way down your spine to the base of your rib cage. Find that complete stop and then relax. Very nice. Okay, so building a little heat there. All right, now you're going to want to grab your dowel, and we're going to use that dowel for one of my favorite scapular car setups. And you can just hold that dowel vertical right out in front of you, and any upright torso position you want. So tall kneeling, Hannah looks like she's going to be kneeling today, but you could be seated or standing too. And then with the dowel out in front of you, just make sure your wrist is about the same height as your shoulder. And then you really have a great hold on the dowel, and you have an end of the dowel that you can firmly push into the ground. So if it's a broom, the broom part needs to be up at the top, okay? So you're really pushing that down into the ground. And you want to imagine I'm there with you, and I'm trying to lift it off the ground, but you are strong and engaging all that tissue under your armpit, into your ribs, and into your abs. And you're going to keep that going, all right? Now, keeping that intensity, begin the scapular car motion by sliding your shoulder blade forward and tipping the dowel forward. Then from here, shrug the shoulder blade up. Maybe the dowel will tip more into an upright position before sliding that shoulder blade back and tipping the dowel back, and then putting that shoulder blade in your back pocket. Continue going in this direction, taking care to not let the point on the dowel that's connected to the floor move, because remember, it's heavy into the ground. And just noticing a little tip in that dowel as you move your straight arm and scapula. Good. This might be a totally new position for you, so I definitely invite moments to pause, clarify, re-engage that push down into the floor. And wherever you might be, just stop there and let's reverse course. Okay? And as you're going, if you're feeling like this is really hard to get a handle on, zoom in on your elbow and make sure your elbow is not bending without you realizing it. That can really muddy the sensation and make it hard to feel the motion of your shoulder blade. Good. 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Nice. Okay, let's do the other side. Again, just any old upright torso position. Okay, and then starting by pressing the dowel straight down and maybe even noticing that's usually where the elbow will start to try to bend. I can get a little more pressure if I bend. No, we want only the amount of pressure we can get with a straight elbow, and then reach that shoulder blade off of your ribs, forward, 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 before shrugging up to your ear, sliding back toward your spinal column, and then down into your back pocket. Gradually carving out maybe a larger car as you go, but not, making sure that that greater range that you're exploring is not coming from your rib cage moving or your elbow bending, but is really just the specific motion of your shoulder blade. Good. Wherever you are right now, pause and reverse direction. And if this motion doesn't really make sense or compute for you right now, I encourage you to stay with the sensations. Try to stay inside of your body. Don't let this become just an intellectual exercise, but really feel for the end range stretch sensation. Feel for those contraction sensations that muscles give off as they shorten. Good, 10 more seconds here. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Excellent. Okay, now we're going to be, like I mentioned, working on the shoulders today. So we're going to finish this warm-up with a shoulder car, and then we'll be sure to retest that same motion at the end so you can get a little feeling of before and after of your shoulder control. So again, staying with your upright torso position, let's do 1 rep from here, and then we'll offer an alternative to increase the intensity level. Reach your right arm straight out in front, externally rotate, and cut across your body, keeping your elbows straight. Once you've found that end range, begin reaching your arm up overhead as high as you can. Pause when you feel that sticking point, wherever that might be, and start to internally rotate your whole arm. Using that twist to reach behind you and not let your ribs turn. So you're really feeling your arm moving independently from your body. Good.
Saying hi to your plant friends.
Yep, just a little tickle of the plant. And then at your hip, reach back behind, unwind into external rotation. Use that rotation to explore the space behind you before cutting back by your ear and across your chest. Awesome. Okay, so feel free to do a second rep like that. We're going to come into quadruped just to spice it up a little bit. And you'll notice here that my cues for Anna are going to be exactly the same, but now it's going to be a lot more intensity in terms of the non-moving parts of the body. So from here, brace your torso so you don't move as you reach that right arm across your midline. Externally rotate the arm. Start to reach up overhead. When you can't reach any higher, start to internally rotate. Use that rotation to reach behind you. As you get towards your hip, really try to cut that arm in towards your body before reversing course, externally rotating, working hard in that non-moving arm to keep you stable, and cutting across your body to finish up the motion. Excellent. Okay, let's test out the other arm. All right, so back to upright. Yep. Reach that left arm forward, externally rotate, cutting across. And as you begin this car, reaching up by your ear, realize that it might, in fact, it probably will feel different than the other side. Okay, so you want to go slow to be able to track those differences. Good. At your hip, try to really bring your arm tight to your body and then reach behind you. That's the shoulder extension we're going to be working on. Then externally rotate. Use that rotation, constantly adding more twist to really reach back, up, and across. Okay, and then up to you if you'd like to stay here or join us in quadruped for your second rep. Bracing your midsection so the right arm is heavy into the floor and that left arm cuts across. Elbow stays straight as you reach up. Internally rotate to reach back. Continue twisting to get all the way to your hip, maybe hearing or feeling some cracks, snaps, and pops. That's all good, so long as there's no pain associated with the sounds that you're feeling or hearing. And finish that car up. Nice. If you went a little faster than Hannah or a little slower, that's fine. Remember, the goal here at the beginning is to get an idea of what does the shoulder feel like before we give it some shoulder extension inputs. Okay, so grab your dowel again, and we're going to get into the real meat of this class where we're working on some specific strength training for shoulder extension. I'm going to have Hannah show this drill from standing, which you could do when we get into it in just a second, but we're going to be doing most of them from child's pose here, which might be too much for your knees and ankles. So just watch for this first one. We begin by letting the torso fall forward. which allows us, if we're holding the dowel behind you, to use gravity to kind of pull the shoulders into that extended shape. The other thing we want to tune into here is that the shoulder blades are pulled together and they're not just sliding forward. That's kind of the way your body might compensate if it doesn't have much extension. So we're going to cue shoulder blades together, then let gravity pull the dowel and also encourage that dowel to reach up as high behind your head as you can and feeling those contractions on the back of the armpits. Then you're going to focus there as you come up smoothly to a standing position. Going slow so you don't get a whole big head rush, but trying to hold on to as much of that extension shape as you can in your shoulders. All right, hand, you can relax. Again, you can join us now in child's pose or stay standing. And let's get our 2 15-second holds here. All right, so round your torso forward, whatever base position you're using. Make sure that dowel's behind you. Hands can be about shoulder width or maybe a little bit wider. And then let gravity take that dowel up as high as you can. You might find your shoulders let you go all the way behind your head or not even this high. And then feel that active contraction of shoulder blades together, back of armpits working. Focus there as you bring your torso upright slowly and smoothly to hold on to as much extension in the shoulders as you can. Holding it here. 10 more seconds. Can you send more energy to the backs of your armpits? Can you flirt with a cramp? 3, 2, 1, slow motion melt, and that might be where you actually feel, oh yeah, there was a lot of work going on in the backs of my armpits. Let's try to tag on to that for our second round. Round your torso forward. Take this moment here to just really find a stretch in the biceps on the front of the shoulder, and then feeling that contraction on the back of the armpits. To hold this shape in your shoulders, bring your torso upright smoothly, trying to keep that dowel as far away from your back as possible. Again, maybe cramping the backs of your arms, the backs of your armpits, or even your upper back. Hold it. Got to hold it just a little longer than is comfortable. 4, 3, 2, slow motion melt down. Excellent. Okay, let that dowel go. We'll come back for another round of that. Yippee. But first, let's do some other training. So come into a seated position on the ground now. Cool. Yeah, this is good. And then just set your hands behind you. Yeah, perfect. And I'm going to actually have you turn your fingers to point behind you as well. Good. And then let your elbows bend just a little bit. So we don't actually want totally straight arms. When you bend your elbows, that's going to put your shoulders into more extension, which might be like too much. So you might need to walk your hands closer to your butt. Okay. On the other hand, if you bend those elbows a little bit and you're not feeling any stretch in your bicep or chest, you might want to walk your hands further back. Okay. And then once you're there, once you've found your position, add tension to this position by lifting your sternum up in front of you. And you should feel that really pulls the bicep tissue, the pec tissue into tension. Okay, so it feels like a bit of a stretch. To highlight that stretch, go ahead, take a nice full inhale, breathing deep and expanding your ribs. And then an equally committed exhale. Blow every single ounce of air out of your body that you can. Good. Okay. Now, on the next inhale, we're going to use that to pack a little tension into your abs. So big breath in. Good. Brace. Set into that midsection brace. And then use the tension and the anchor in your body to begin feeling like your hands super glued to the floor could pull the carpet or the floor towards your butt. So you're trying to pull the floor forward. This should engage the stretching tissue that you found on your biceps and the front of your shoulders and chest. Go ahead, continue increasing the intensity of that pull. This is a Pales contraction for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. As you relax, you can let your elbows bend, take your arms out of position just for a moment. Give yourself a little breath, a little air. Okay, so this is a good moment to just mention, remember how I said the breathing mechanics and the rib cage position might impact your shoulder extension ability. That also means when we work on shoulder extension, you might feel like you can't breathe, okay? So if that's the case, if this is making you feel a little tense, you know I need to work a little bit less at my end range or a little closer to my butt, okay? Cool. So let's go ahead and do one more set of those pails. They're definitely going to be better this round just because you know what's coming, you know what your body's offering. Fingertips pointed behind you, elbows bent just a skosh, and then wind up into position by lifting your sternum bone. And this might give you an idea of, oh, I got to move my hands forward or back to fine-tune my position. Nice big inhale. Pack that air down to brace your midsection. And then using super glued hands to the floor, start gently pulling the floor towards your hips. As you feel that ask become obvious, ramp up the intensity of your pull. Always taking care that nothing in your torso is moving, your ribs aren't moving out of position, your elbows aren't bending further. Go ahead, continue ramping that pull of the hands up to your greatest safe effort for 5, 4, 3, 2. Keep this position and very slowly ramp down that pails contraction. Bueno, very nice. Okay, let that go. And now come back to an upright torso position. Again, kneeling, standing, whatever is fine. And Hannah, I'm going to have you turn so profile so they can see your profile. Okay, and then we're just going to let the brain in on some of those changes that we just asked for at the front of the shoulder. So make a fist with your right hand. Imagining we're kind of doing the back half of your shoulder car. Start by internally rotating that shoulder as much as you can, taking care that your shoulder blade doesn't slide forward, but stays nice and parked back, even as you wind out that twist. And then lift your wrist behind you as far as you can, maybe recognizing that near cramp feeling in your tricep and the back of your armpit. Ask for a little more. Okay, now keeping this angle of your arm, twist the arm into external rotation as much as you can, pause, and then back into internal rotation. Okay? So if you're a kin nerd like us, you know this is a capsule car for your glenohumeral joint, but just from an extension shape. Okay? So keep going with that same twist back and forth, 20 more seconds, noticing how the tissue that's contracting and the sensation you feel will change depending on the twist of that shoulder joint. Great work. 5 more seconds. Can you keep that fist working hard? Keep that angle behind you. It might be getting tired, and relax. Bueno. Nice. Okay, shake it out. Yeah, guess where you might be sore tomorrow? Oh, the whole back of the arm. Okay, same thing on this side. Start right by your torso, and as you internally rotate, take care to not let that shoulder blade slide forward, but in fact park it back into scapular retraction, and then lift the arm behind you. Now, one thing to note as you reach behind is you don't want that arm to be going out to the side, so I like to imagine there's a wall right next to me, and I'm trying to reach as far back as I can without hitting the wall. And then that's where we're going to do our capsule rotation. So start your twist into external rotation, wringing out as much as you can at the upper arm, forearm, and wrist, and then internally rotate. Here we are. Strength training. Good. As you externally rotate, feel your chest open. As you internally rotate, keep that chest open. Keep that arm behind. Yeah, good. Going by feel, especially for this position that you cannot see. Really connect to the sensation to know where your body is in space. 10 more seconds. Can you drive any more contraction to the back of the arm and the back of the armpit? 3, 2, 1, and melt it away. Woo. Excellent. Okay. So grab your dowel again. We're going to go through this round another time, and it's going to feel a little different as we come back. Grab that dowel, reach behind you, and just like before, you're welcome to do this motion from standing or tall kneeling or child's pose. Whatever your choice, you're going to start by rounding your torso forward, letting your back round. reaching that dowel high behind you and really trying to feel, can gravity help you here get any more into shoulder extension? Making sure your shoulder blades are together and then really feeling the active effort of trying to reach that dowel higher. Keep that contraction as you slowly bring your torso upright, taking care that you're not just letting blood rush to your head, but you're going nice and smooth, and you're keeping as much shoulder extension as you can, thinking sternum up as your dowel lifts up. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Melt it down slowly. Very nice. Second and final set of these passive range holds. So round your torso forward, lift that dowel, okay? Start by squeezing your shoulder blades together. Then add to this a really nice strong squeeze of your fists. Use that to lift the dowel as high behind your head as you can, and then gradually bring your torso upright, trying your darndest to keep that dowel reached behind you. If you're not flirting with a cramp, ask for more contraction, more of an open chest, more height behind you, more tricep contraction. Little shake is probably a good sign for 5, 4, 3, 2. How slowly can you let go of all that contraction? And 0. A spicy meatball, okay? Very good. All right, let that dowel go. Come back into your seated shape that we had before.
What if I need my arms later?
We're just gonna juice them, all right? So from this position, we're now gonna add a little bit of movement, but in the form of your breathing, okay? So we did a little taste test of this when we were setting up, but basically we're gonna be using that maximum inhale and maximum exhale to really train this position. Now, I want Hannah to show a bad rep, or what we don't want, for a second. Okay, so very common when we inhale for the ribs to kind of want to expand up and forward, and then equally common when we exhale to round, especially when we're in sort of this compromised position at the shoulders. So your job is to keep your spine and shoulder relationship the same as your ribs expand and contract without losing the position at the shoulders. Okay, so a little bend in your elbow. Super glue those hands so you feel like you could pull the floor towards your butt. Okay, and then if it feels good for you to do so, go ahead and lift your hips 1 inch, maybe 6 inches. Doesn't have to be the highest position you can, just enough that is loading the shoulders, and then begin your breathing. Full inhale through the nose, strong and complete exhale through the mouth. Push that air out. Good. Keep working. 20 seconds. This is a very high intensity position. If you felt like I got to set my hips down, that's fine. Continue with your full inhale and your full exhales, pushing that air out of you. Final breath cycle here. 3, 2, 1. Slowly set yourself down. Excellent job, okay? Shake those arms out, okay? And now we're going to use that sort of position we made better with breathing and go up and down with your hips. So it actually becomes more like a hip bridge, and we can try to zoom in on the control at the shoulders, all right? So final rep in this shape. Okay, fingers pointing behind, little bend in the elbows. Really pulling the floor a little bit so you engage the front of the arms, front of the shoulders. Yep. And then go ahead and start with an exhale. Before you lift your hips, fully blow the air out. Try to feel your ribs pull down with that exhale. And then keep that active midsection. It means you're going to have to breathe a little shallowly and start lifting your hips up as high as your shoulders will allow, and then back down. Now you can keep breathing here, but remember we want that exhaled feeling in your lower midsection, in your abs, to be maintained. Good. Keeping that sternum up and proud, those ribs pulled down. Very nice. Going to your end range shoulder extension and back for 10 seconds. Good. Keeping a slight bend in your elbow if you can feel for that. There's a lot of pieces here to be aware of. So just do the best you can for 3, 2, 1, and relax. Nice work. Really good job. Okay. Now let's, again, clue the brain in on all this training we've been doing with a capsule car, but now from a prone position. So here's where you're going to go face down. And you can go with us here. This one makes sense since we did the first round upright. You're going to reach your arm down by the side of your body. Let the wrist just relax by the side of your body. And then before you lift that wrist off the ground, slide your shoulder blade back as much as you can, okay? Really feeling the tissue that holds your shoulder blade to your spine stay on. And then make a tight fist with that arm that's on the ground. Slowly ask that fist to get lighter and lighter until it's coming off the ground with no motion of your shoulder blade. Once you have that highest position, begin your capsule rotation, twisting one way, twisting the other way, the whole time trying to get that wrist as high behind your butt as you can without letting your scapula slide forward. Very nice. If this feels harder, it's because it literally is harder now because gravity is trying to force your arm down with a much more leverage. Okay, 10 more seconds. Fighting for as much of an open chest as you can, as much height as you can. For 3, 2, 1, and relax. Awesome job.
Also, those muscles are a little fatigued.
Yes, they're getting tired for sure, okay? As we go to the other side, it's just really important to keep giving yourself that slack and that grace because we're taking a weak position and we're conditioning it, meaning it's going to get really tired in those tissues there, all right? This side, keep the wrist resting on the ground. Slide your shoulder blade back to open your chest. Make sure your lower back is calm. And then slowly take that tight fist, make it lighter and lighter until it is floating off the ground. And then keep that height as best you can and start your twist of your shoulder joint. Twisting into internal rotation and into external rotation. Keeping your chest open as your first focus. And then the amount you can rotate is actually secondary to that position of your chest and scapula. That's the way that we can put the work that we're doing specifically where we want it, in the back of the armpit and the back of the arm. 10 seconds. I like to imagine there's a little fire under my wrist. Can I lift my wrist away from that fire? Keep it from getting burned for 5, 4, 3, 2, and slowly relax down. Okay, great stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and come up to an upright torso position and, as promised, retest our shoulder car and just see how things feel a little bit different now that we have fully roasted the shoulder extension position. Okay, and brace your body. Let this be about a 50% effort. Right arm reaches in front. Cut that arm across. And then begin your shoulder car, reaching up as high as you can. Twisting into internal rotation to explore the world behind you. Good. As you get to your hip, pause, reverse course. Externally rotate. And keep going at your own pace. Maybe pausing and giving some extra rotation. Maybe moving through another rep or two. But really just providing the brain with some idea of how things might have changed with these inputs. Nice. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and wherever you might be, relax that side. Let's do the other side. Noticing some differences. Okay. Remember, this is a deep, dark corner of our shoulder range, and so if we shine a little light, never know what you'll find, okay?
So true.
Let's reach that left arm forward. Straight elbow, cut it across your body. And then really tuning into that sensation that you can be aware of. tuning into how the position might feel different. Letting awareness be your main goal. Good. Very nice. 30 more seconds. Continue moving at your own pace. The number of reps is not the goal. The amount of effort you're using is not the goal. The goal is to become more aware of what's really going on in your left shoulder. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, great work. We'd love to hear what you found in this dark corner of your shoulder extension, and talk soon.